Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the 13th Dimension. Um, Originally, our guests tonight were going to be Brian Murray and Rochelle Stratton, but unfortunately, life happens and neither one of them were able to make the show tonight. So we had to improvise. But before we do that, I want to bring on my buddy Scott here onto the show. And let's see here. Uh-oh. That ain't Scott. Oh boy. That was his son though. But hey Scotty, where you at? Scott. Well, it's come down to this. I'm gonna have to bribe him. Hey Scott, I got some chicken nuggets for you.
What? You say chicken nuggets? Oh, good Lord. You better give me some of those, buddy. Good.
There you go. Welcome back.
Hey, how you doing, man?
How you guys doing tonight?
Good Lord, you got some chicken nuggets for me?
We got some nuggets here with us.
Man, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Dude, I got nuggets. I'm great, dude.
Yeah, he's got the nuggets and I got the Slim Jim tonight.
Yeah, we do.
So anyway, we do have some other guests tonight. We got some very special guests. One of them was actually with us last week.
Yeah, the dude is amazing.
Yes.
This team's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
And last week's show ended up being our top rated show. It had the most reach. It had the most views, the most shares. It was just awesome. And now he and his team have just been announced for the Winter Paracon virtual event that is hosted by Mike Catcher. So what do you say we go ahead and bring him on?
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So please welcome Robyn Ramsey.
Hi.
And John Griffin.
Oh, hey, I know this person. What's up?
How you doing?
I know this person too.
Wait, do I know them?
I don't think so.
Oh, man.
I barely know you. What are you doing in my house?
You got me nuggets.
Okay, so
I like nuggets too.
I mean, if I knew that's how that I could get chicken nuggets, I would pop up in your house too. But
All right, dude.
He's popping out of nowhere.
Hey, I'm like Santa's little magic elf, man.
You could be the elf on the shelf.
Dude, I will smack your skeleton for that one.
I think I like my skeleton more. He was at least quiet.
Yeah. What can I say, man? Yeah, dude, I'm glad to be.
It's completely frozen for me. I'm sorry, guys.
yeah, same here. Scott and Jeremy are intensely looking at you.
Screenshot. Can you screenshot that
I
for me?
have screenshot.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody can even hear us because of that, but that is hilarious. Best friends. Look at them go. And it's us. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 13th Dimension. I'm your host, Robyn Ramsey, along with John Griffin from Uini Research. In just a little while, we're going to have Scott and Jeremy on our show that we just took over, the 13th Dimension. We're interdimensional.
So yeah, it looks like that Jeremy is going to be getting back on shortly. just got a message.
They're probably
from him,
hugging
so-
right now. I think they're just hugging and they needed their moment and they'll be back. You know, some things are best done behind the scenes.
I mean, you know, and of course, once they do get back on, I have to make sure that we share the screen capture. No. We got to get the screen capture going on.
Oh
here.
yeah, that's not harassment.
So
Well, I'm so excited to be on. It's just kind of funny that it's been that kind of a day, but like, oh wait, here they are. Oh hi, welcome to the show, everybody. This is Jeremy and Scott.
We're so happy to be guests on the Uini Research podcast.
Yes, thank you so much. Good Lord.
Wow.
So, you know,
Wow. Thanks, Abby. I blame it on you.
Blame Abby's fun. Speaking of Abby, this is for that one, right?
What? Yes.
Speaking of Abby, she is the one who has made these for us.
Yes. Abby
they're
King.
great.
So,
Yes.
so if you guys would like any, you can get a hold of her or Crystal. Yeah. And she does great work.
She does. And I'll tell you what, you know, I'm going to do a plug on this one. I filled this up with ice water last night. And normally when I go to work the next day, I dump this out, put it upside down so it airs out during the day. I forgot to do that this morning. This thing had been sitting on my counter all day long. I come back and this thing still had a big block of ice in it.
That's because you left it outside. Oh, my bad.
And the cap wasn't even on.
The cap wasn't on?
No, it was
Really?
exposed. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty darn good.
So, Jeremy and Scott, I discussed this with Robyn before you joined our show. I wanted to show the last known picture of you guys before
Your disappearance.
You guys, yeah, I mean, take a look at this. This is this is incredible. I mean,
You guys love each other so much. I love it.
But you know what's funny? You give me that look a lot, dude. Like, like a lot.
Yeah, it's
Like I don't know why, but you're like, yeah, that look.
like I think I said this on last week's episode. If you give me the content, I'm going to use it. You guys sat there staring at each other like that, frozen for like 2 minutes. So I was like, you know what? It's paranormal.
Wow.
Hey, you know, but we appreciate that, dude. I mean, that's what we love about this show is, you know, especially guests like you and Robyn, and then you guys come on and you guys can do stuff like that, dude. That's what I love about this, man. It's the seriousness, but I love that we have fun and laugh and whatnot.
We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope. And the after show that we had, I mean, you weren't able to stick around with it for long.
No, I wasn't.
I was on until midnight with these guys, and I had to go to work the next day.
You guys didn't take any pictures of that, did you?
What was that?
You didn't take any pictures of the chat that we did.
Some things you don't need evidence.
Right, John? Like, you didn't take any pictures of that, right?
I can't confirm or deny.
I guess we'll find out later in your inbox, won't we?
Don't worry. If it
Mama needs
exists,
to pay for the snowplow.
Oh boy!
I'll just put it up. I'll put it up
to the blackmail.
Right?
Yes.
Well, I guess.
We like to call it a friendly exchange, really.
Yeah, let's call it that.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously, thank you guys for joining us on such short notice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Robyn actually stood up her husband to be with us tonight.
I did. He'll be there.
Yeah, I don't think they would have wanted to go out there in 30 inches of snow.
No, absolutely not. That'd be up over my head.
We would just see your hat moving along the snow like a bowl. That would be great.
Yeah, I'll be looking out there. All I see is a hat what looks like just gliding across the top of the snow.
But my
nuggets
would be sticking up so they don't get cold.
Well, our favorite place is still open tonight. We could have gone. And one thing I saw this morning when I was out and about, which is what I consider completely upstate, because I'm not from here. I've been here for about 8 years now, but I'm not from here. So I'm driving down the street. A guy comes out of a pizzeria in a t-shirt and shorts. That's it. He climbs over the 4-foot embankment, where the snowplow would come through, and just casually gets in his car and drives off. And I was like, it's 18 degrees. And I was like, that's quintessentially upstate New York and Northeast or anywhere really cold, I'm guessing.
Yeah, my first reaction was that sounds like that guy was from Minnesota, because that's how Minnesotans are.
Nah, I wouldn't do that. And I work outside every day.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was just like, am I taking crazy pills? But the first person that I thought of when I saw him do that is John, because like I said, I moved up here. I wear my Carhartts and and all that stuff. Like I don't mess around. And then here comes John. We're on an investigation and we want to go out to eat first really quick. And he's just like, okay, I'm ready to go. We're all freezing, and he's just walking down the street and in a place I'm not allowed to say, but it was so cold, and we're all like, and we're like not moving our lips. We're like, is he okay? Is he going to be okay? And he's just like, what? So I learned that we think we were tough down in Texas, that Northeast, upstate, and anywhere that's probably really frigid and cold like this, the people are really tough.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. They're tough in so many ways. I definitely wouldn't want to meet them in a winterized alley.
No, absolutely not.
Right. I might be able to take a bull down and give it the old snip or whatever, probably a little bit faster than you guys. But I can tell you what, I can't walk down the street in 18-degree weather without a coat. That's insanity. Yeah, you just got to grab them by the leg and snap. I used to date someone with a cattle ranch, so I didn't do it, actually. I'm just playing. I just watched them in horror.
Okay, so
anyway, moving on.
With that being said, as funny as it was,
well,
funny to him.
2 more hours. Just wait.
He can't quit.
She just talking about grabbing a bull and snipping. Dude, I mean, I'm just gonna eat my nub.
Hey, just another day on the ranch.
Well, I still got him.
Okay, so with all that being said, you said that you just moved to New York 8 years ago from Texas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
1, how did that come about? And 2, how did you meet up with John?
Well, 3 months after I heard the name of the village I live in, Ballston Spa, I had no idea. I had heard of Saratoga Springs because of the Carly Simon song, You're So Vain. I knew I'd heard of that. Basically, he was recruited by a company up here. It's a semiconductor company. My husband was, and he said, "Well, what would you think about moving to upstate New York?" And when he posed that question to me, I want you to think about this. It had been over 100 degrees for about 40 days. We were in a 5-year drought where you could go in the backyard and stick your hands down in the cracks. You burn your hands on the steering wheel, and God forbid you wear shorts trying to get in the car, you will burn your legs and that sort of thing. And I said, wait, is it cold up there? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, let's go. 3 months after I heard the name Ballston Spa, New York, I was signing the papers on buying my house. So it was a quick move. It was like a Band-Aid. Just pull it off, move right away. And I don't get upset about the snow, really. I mean, it was a lot today, but I'm still thrilled about it. But the neighbors check in with me all the time. They're like, and on a bad snow day, they're like, what do you think now? Are you upset now? I'm like, not yet.
Well, I was going to say, how was that first winter once you found out how much snow New York really gets?
Oh, no. Oh, okay. No, so I did this in the front yard, which I regret, and I should have done the backyard for more privacy, but I thought I would fall down in the yard and make a snow angel, but it was so deep I couldn't get up. I fell backwards and I couldn't get up. So I was kind of stuck, and I'm like, there are people walking by with their dogs, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And they're like, is that a grown woman? So, yeah. No, I loved it, and I still do. Right. I'm like, keep moving, people. Keep moving.
That happens to me, but normally when I do it, there's only like 6 inches of snow on the ground. Nobody can find me. So
He's absolutely right. I've seen it.
They're out there throwing me a snorkel to make sure I don't drown in snow and stuff.
We need to put one of those big orange flags like people put on the back of their bicycles.
Yeah.
We're gonna put that on his hat.
I'm here.
That's funny. But no, I actually met John at a meetup from the internet. I met a man on the internet, and his name is John Griffin. I had never been. Okay, this was the thing. So some time had passed, and as I told John, just standing on the street corner when people walk by, I go paranormal, and I wasn't really getting any hits like that, right? So especially in this village, and I felt like I was weird already because came from Austin, Texas, and the motto is "Keep Austin Weird." That is, so I felt like a freak already. Anyway, and I was like, "This is ridiculous. I have to go try to find real people up here that actually are doing real research, real everything." So I peruse Meetup, and I decided one day, I just said, you know what? It was like 20 minutes from now. I was like, I'm going to go. So I just got in my car and drove there. And there he was with his shining face and his little polo shirt on. He was ready to go. And I just kind of knew it was one of those things like when you meet someone and you just kind of know like there's a connection here. And he probably thought I was weird because he's talking. He's given somewhat of a presentation, and the other people that were there are sort of sharing their stories or whatever. And I just stared at him right in the eyes the whole time. I just stared at him. I did. And he would like glance at me and I would just smile and stare right at him and just like, okay, come to me, John Griffin, come to me. It's like, anyway, that's kind of how we met is on the internet. And then just an addition to that story, it kind of segues into it. It wasn't long after that he actually said, well, buckle up, we're going to Wildwood Sanitarium. And so someone tells my husband, so it was John and his brother, Jeremy. Someone says to my husband, are you just going to let your wife drive 5 hours with 2 men she met on the internet to a haunted sanitarium? And you know what my husband's response was? They should be scared of her. They should be scared of me instead of me scared of them. And I thought that was pretty funny. So no, I knew that there was trust there and I felt completely safe. And it's like, you're not getting me out of this car. Are you kidding? Once I heard what he had to say and I read his book right away because I wanted to, that really tells me a lot about people. And I was like, okay, I can deal with this person. There's that high level of intelligence. There's that analytical sense. There's the fun. He was fun. He's funny. We after the meetup, we actually stayed behind. The coffee place actually kicked us out. So we stood outside for a little while and talked. We have a lot in common. You'd be surprised. We have a lot of differences. Boy, are we like polar opposites in a lot of ways. But then there's those core values, the core techniques that we like to use, the time we've spent developing those techniques. I was like, okay, this is it.
That is awesome. I want to say hi to Jenny and David and Jennifer. Thank you, Crystal. My buddy Josh, Irene. So I just got to get those in there.
Yep.
Yay.
But that is awesome. But that makes sense, your husband saying that. I mean, I ain't got nothing against anybody from New York, but being from Texas, I'm just saying, if you can wrestle a bull and snip, dude.
I just watched that. But no, it's just one of those things you just do it. I just felt that it was the right thing to do. And so I was going to go for it. And like I could always just like karate chop, whatever, something happened. But, it was all so much fun. And his brother is an amazing person as well. If you guys get a chance to ever talk with Jeremy Griffin, you should. He's amazing.
I was able to for a short little while there at Wildwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right about John. Talking to him last week after the show, the guy's just so intelligent and he's funny and, he's a great dude, man. Somebody I'm proud to call a brother, man. So I can understand, I can relate, just from talking to him last week. Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
I use it as a kind of, I kind of using Katie Peake's term for one of our lead investigator for Uini Research. She's, it seems like even just meeting Jeremy, it was like meeting an old friend.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, minus the old part. I'm not, I'm gonna make sure I not throw that in there. But even with Robyn, even with her intense glares at me during the meetup,
I thought they were loving smiles. Intense
loving smiles. But there was just from the little bit of because I'm pretty good at reading people, and just from our little bit conversations that we did have during the meeting, it was like, you know what? There was so much going on during this meetup that we didn't get to finish everything we wanted to do. So once we left the coffee shop, it was just like, I've got to talk to this person before she leaves, and then I don't even know how long we talked after that, but it seemed like we were out there for a while. Yeah. So
I felt the same way with you and with Kate. It's very strange, and your brother too. It was just like, wow, I felt like we were meeting up like we had known each other in another life, or however you want to call it. It was just like, oh, it's you guys again. Yay. Let's do this.
Me, whenever I meet people from the internet, it's like I meet the strangest, oddest people.
Well, we met you on the internet, so.
Touché.
We didn't meet on the internet.
No, we did not. No, we actually met in person through a mutual friend of ours.
Absolutely.
With the prospect of starting up a paranormal team that he was doing.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it wasn't going to work out, because when we had our first meeting, Scott and I had the exact same work schedule. Oh. And then he ended up changing jobs, and then all of a sudden we had the complete opposite work schedule.
Yep.
So there was no way it was going to work, so I bowed out.
And I think I retired like 2 years later.
Yeah,
maybe
something like that. Mm-hmm.
So, and then Jeremy shows up out of nowhere. Hey, come back. Come on.
Well, I worked on you for a while.
He did. And now I'm regretting every minute of it.
Hey.
What can I say?
Yeah, what can you say?
What's that, John?
No, I was saying, yeah. What can you say? I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm waiting, Scott.
But I mean, he asked for this. You know what I'm saying? He asked for this. Like you should have. Yeah. You should have knew.
This is one of those cases where you got to be really careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. I got it in.
And he got it in me. I'm like the little evil Chucky doll.
Oh my God.
Well, you could definitely fit inside that box that he came in.
You
guys are harsh, dude.
Oh, we're terrible to each other.
Yes. If I'm not mean to you, then I don't like you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Hurry, say something mean really quick. I'll start getting a complex.
Well, he doesn't know you guys very well, but give him a little time. He's going to start razzing on you really, really bad.
Perfect.
Nice.
I can't John, because he's too smart for me. He'll use a big word and I'll be like, ooh. Yeah.
He'll just start taking screenshots of you and bring it up whenever you
too.
Yeah, so take
sometimes I want
and John of his faces, because we're definitely going to need that for blackmail.
Yes.
Then he should have done it last week.
Yeah.
Well, I can say I appreciate John very much, because I can be intense, be a little crazy, and crazy intense, especially when you start talking about investigations and doing things and getting the equipment together and getting, and all that stuff. And I think to myself, gosh, don't be too overbearing, but I can't be anybody but myself. So sometimes I'm at 110. That's where I'm at. And then come to find out, John can do the same thing. And so when we get going, you just stand back, you can feel the energy just pumping off of us. And then you add Katie to the mix, so we've got this whole thing, it'll be like a tornado coming through. And then you'll have Jeremy, his brother Griffin, standing over there, just calm as a cucumber, just staring at us or whatever. But he has his fun moments too, but he just watches us go, just pull the string and we just spin off in different directions. So our intensity is matched. I'll put it that way. And there's not very many people I feel like on that level that I feel like that I can trust too. I'm one of those people, like, I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can be myself around you. And so it's a great relief to me that I feel like I can be myself with John and the whole team. And I even gave him a key to the house. So I'm super excited about that. I'm like, it is. I know John's wincing or whatever, but it's like, I'm a private person. I'm intense or whatever. And I'm like, if I give you a key to my house, that we are always going to be friends. And I trust you implicitly. So we're a thing.
I don't know if Scott and Jeremy are a thing. I'm seeing like
his back was itching.
Oh,
you got to help your brothers out, man.
Yeah. I get
it.
I need to make you guys some back scratchers in case you're lonely.
There is a lot of paranormal activity going on here right now.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Hey, you called me out of nowhere. I'm just
I
saying.
know. Where the hell did you come from?
My mom.
I was waiting for that.
Thanks, John. So John, I'm going to assume when you guys get together, are you guys still learning off each other with everything that goes on?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
if that makes sense.
Basically, like I may mention in the last show, that basically everyone has a piece of the paranormal puzzle. Everybody has unique skills, diverse backgrounds and such. So for us to be able to come together and learn from each other, not just on a professional level, but even learning on the people's personalities, people's backgrounds and such, and how that actually shapes because it's like when you're building a paranormal team, it's almost like even at my job where I do administrative work and I'm interviewing people and stuff, I'm trying to build a team. And I realized, it can't be John Griffin. Like Uini Research is not John Griffin. It's Robyn Ramsey, it's Katie Peak, it's Jeremy, it's all these different people combined. So actually, when we're, of course, we want people to fit in, but we recognize as a team that we have to learn to understand each other, learn to look past our differences, but even when there are differences, try to understand more about those differences and how we can find some common element with them that brings us closer together. And I think that's what's really made Uini Research work ultimately. But from the paranormal spectrum, I've learned things from Robyn. There are things that in the past that I may not have necessarily agreed with if people presented it. But Robyn I'm kind of more of a show me person. Robyn would just go out and do it. And then I would go, I understand it now. So it truly is, like I said, it really works well, ultimately.
I agree. I didn't know if you guys were waiting for me to say this.
We cannot look beyond the differences. And ultimately, they pretty much set themselves up to fail.
Right. Yep.
Well, when you let everybody be their own person, I mean, that's the richness, that's the recipe. You don't just, somebody's salt, somebody's pepper. That's fine. I'm very salty myself, but so you know what I mean? Like, and then sometimes you have this kind of food and sometimes you have if we were all the same, it would be boring. We would be stagnant. We wouldn't be learning anything. We wouldn't be moving forward, and forward motion is important. I can't imagine. I'm thinking over each team member in my mind, like, and who they are and what I've learned from them and their contributions. And I could not imagine having any one of those people missing from the group. And it's actually in my opinion, a fairly large group, large team.
And even just from a leadership role, which Robyn is one of the leaders on the team. She's, Chief Investigation Officer, which is for UNI Research is the highest level on the investigation portion of it. The thing that, from a leadership perspective, is that we want to see the team ultimately succeed in missions and stuff, because I mean, we have a mission statement, we have vision, we have all that. And team members who are joining up with us are, we share the mission with them, and we make sure that they understand the mission. Is this something they really want to be a part of? Do they see the mission? Do they see the vision? The team members who have joined up understand it. They share it. But this isn't, again, for all the leaders on the UNI Research team, it's a focus on getting everyone on the team to essentially work together, build each other up, help us all become leaders in some aspect. And everybody wants to be a leader in some capacity. They want to be able to share their knowledge, lead an experiment or something like that. And that's ultimately what we try to focus on, is giving everybody that opportunity to basically spread their wings.
Yes. I mean, how terrible it would be if you were on a team and you had your ideas and it was like, oh, that's okay, sweetheart. You just sit over there on the side. We're in charge and we're going to run this whole operation. Absolutely not. Then how do you learn from them if you don't know what's in their mind? And give them a try, because like we like to say, like experiments, pass, fail. They work, they don't, but that's all valuable data. Now you know what you can eliminate, and you can move on, and you have to learn. Everybody starts somewhere. John and I just didn't come out and being born and have all the knowledge we have. It's because we learned with and through other people.
One thing that I've always liked to say is that a true leader knows when to lead and when to follow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And you guys are right. I mean, get knowledge, not just your own knowledge, but from everybody else, is a huge factor. I mean, even doing this podcast, like with you guys and our buddy Robert Murphy, and just so many other people that we've talked to in this paranormal field. I mean, the knowledge that all of you guys bring has been absolutely amazing. I mean, those things that you guys talk about that I'd never considered actually doing in an investigation. So it's a good thing to just be able to get all this knowledge and get different perspectives on how to do things.
Yeah. And I remember, the weekend that I spent with you guys. Oh my.
Like a weekend at the sanitarium.
Yeah, because and I even told you guys this while I was there. I'm listening to you guys. I'm trying to soak in all of what you're telling me, but I guarantee you within the next day or two, maybe sooner than that, I'm going to forget 90% of all of that. And the truth is, I have.
I'm sorry, have we met?
Who are you again?
So.
No, how'd I get here?
Unless it's kind of like a residual energy. If that's something you're not doing over and over and over, I mean, like today, a lot of people don't know I'm a city worker, so I do a little bit of everything. I cut trees and stuff like that. Well, I was on trees today, and I had to put a notch to cut down, the rest of the tree. And a part of me, literally almost forgot, because it had been like 4 months since I'd done it. And I'm like, man, and that's, so it just happens, man.
It was the same way at my work. I drive a forklift, and at the department that I work in, I started out in the powder aisle, where I was basically building pallets of powder for the mix department.
It was a Colombian powder. I didn't set out on my bad.
I laughed too quickly. I shouldn't have understood that. Damn it!
Anyway, so I learned how to do that job, and it wasn't the actual powder. It was some of the computer work that I do at the end of the day. I was doing that for, I don't know, I think it was like 3 months before I moved on to a different module in the same department. And I was doing that for 3 months. And then all of a sudden we started doing this rotating thing, because we were making sure that all of us were trained on every job. And once we achieved that, then we started doing our rotation. And my first day back at the original job that I had, I was like, okay, I think I'm supposed to do this. And luckily, I didn't screw anything up. And now it's like clockwork. Even now, I haven't done that particular job the last 4 months because we got a new person with us, and now we're getting ready to start doing that rotation thing again. But I had done it enough, got away from it, then got back into it, and with that rotation, I've now got it ingrained into my head, so I can go back to it tomorrow and do it just fine.
Yeah, so we do that in our group. We like to have everybody have some of the knowledge of doing all the things. This is how you use all the equipment, it's how you put it together, it's all that. But naturally, people are better at some things than others, right? Mm-hmm. And so you let them go ahead and do some of the things that they're better at. Like I'm like, oh, John, when John and I first met, he's like, nah, I do these spreadsheets, this Excel stuff. I crunch the data, and I was like, oh, Excel. I like spreadsheets. I made up a payroll system for the place I used to work at, and they hated it because it was too accurate, by the way, and they nixed it. But but they were so mad that it was accurate. But anyway, and then John's like, well, here's what I do, and I was like, you go, boy. Like it's very complicated. I was like, well, you go with that. That's amazing. So you know what? I do know how to do spreadsheets, but John knows how to do and crunch those numbers and correlate all that stuff, So I'm like, okay, well then that's your area. I like it. You can keep that. I'll definitely pay attention, but yeah, I'll hand you the data, but what you do is intense.
And that's awesome that you guys keep that much information and you log everything on a spreadsheet, because I couldn't do that.
Well, we got more stuff coming. I have a new piece of equipment in the works. It's not going to be revealed for a while, but it's going to be used at a really great location pretty soon, and I'm really stoked, and I know it's going to work out. But it's going to be a whole lot of data that's provable. You can correlate it with the situation and the other evidence. I'm super excited, and something that I don't think anybody else is doing. So I wish I could say.
No, I'm excited. I can't wait. I mean, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, you're always trying to catch something on camera, and it's very difficult to do. And this is just going to log it every second. And I just can't wait.
That's pretty awesome, man.
It is. It's going to take, for me, I get so tired of carrying stuff around in my hands and my back pockets are full, or you have on a weird vest, or you have to carry a little backpack around. And I'm like, how are we I need to free up my hands. This is making me crazy. And so that was one of the origins of how these devices that we started making came to be, because I wanted to take stuff out of our hands. I wanted some sort of automation. I just needed freedom to actually do the work and go in and ask the questions and talk without, I hate packing and unpacking. I'm packing. Let's go to the next room. We'll pack it all up. Let's go to the next. I hate it. So it's just like, you know what? Why don't we just make some things, throw them everywhere, and go do our thing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And I got to see these things in action too. I'll tell you.
Those are like phase one. Those are phase one. Yeah. So I'm glad you got to see them. I'm fairly proud of them. But yeah, the second generation is going to be pretty sweet, and then we have an addition coming that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like one of those. I'll just talk about the Minions are already out there, and they track environmental factors, all the familiar environmental factors that we do. The temperature, of course, timestamp, humidity, barometric pressure, that sort of thing, and they send back every second straight to the database. So by the end of an investigation, so if I have 13 of those out, or we have 13 of those out across the place, wherever we're at, each one of those by the end of the night will have about 100,000 points of data by the end of an average investigation. So if I say there was a huge bang, and then there was an EVP that said, zip it, at 12:59, we can go look at the timestamp at 12:59 and see if those devices were around that area. We can see the all of those things fluctuate, right? And so we can put all of that together. Just another way to say, okay, so when there is a big bang, there was a huge drop or in barometric pressure at the same time. That correlates. Okay, so we do that at one location, and the next thing you know, hey, we're at another location and something else happens. And then we can start seeing these patterns over certain locations or over all the locations. Like, okay, so we know that when certain data points hit, that we are likely to get data, we're likely to get an EVP or an apparition or what have you. And then in my mind, the goal being, once we get so much data that we start correlating to this happens every time or most of the time when an XYZ happens, that we can start creating that environment. I can start changing the humidity. I can start changing things in that space to open up the communication in a much more clear way.
And that's actually something, some of the things that Uini Research has been experimenting. Like, for instance, we talked about last show about the EVPs. And in some cases, because like I may mention, we heard echoes happening in some of the audio. So it made me question on the environment itself. What if I clear out an environment?
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody's nose was whistling.
I thought we were like a bird or something, but
oh, my parrot.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Let me turn off my mic while she's unhappy that I'm not currently.
You're fine. No, it's fine.
We've had many pets on.
We
this
got
show.
pets every week. Yeah. Dogs, more dogs.
Jenny snoring dog.
Sasquatches. We got it all.
Sasquatches. Anyway, go ahead.
Leprechauns. We got it all. Yeah.
Well, basically, we started clearing out. Like, we started in some cases an experiment, like cluttering a room, seeing if that changed up a room where we would get a lot of EVPs, and then basically changing up the room, whether it's even temperature and such. Because when we're looking at how sound travels, if it is sound that's being produced by them, as opposed to just electromagnetics, the temperature and humidity of the environment is also going to affect how the sound travels. So, and actually, speaking of which, Robyn talking about the phase 1 minions. If you don't mind, Robyn, I have something to share on that one. Or something,
sure.
something to show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, with the minions, like she said, thousands of readings, right? This is ultimately what I end up doing, and I purposely left this one up for you. Shut up, as the EVP. But
okay, who said shut up? I gotta ask.
This was at Wildwood, so I think it might have been Dr. Perry, if I'm not mistaken. But this is ultimately what I end up doing with the data. This is all minion readings, literally all the way down.
Over the course of what time frame?
Well, this is actually, hang on. This is from 2215, so 10:15.
Okay.
And still going. This
is all inside of a minute.
This is 2235, 1,214.
Right. It literally sends back data every second or so. It's like not exact seconds, but very like about a second. So,
but like what you saw here with the green and the grayish part is there's certain measurements that I'm looking at. Which then leads me to putting it into a pivot chart, and then I start pulling data from here. And as like what Robyn said, how we can quickly see here, like the differences. How you notice here at 15 to 17 minutes, here's all this data coming in for these specific temperatures. But if you notice, as it's getting later, you start seeing where the temperature is heading.
Right.
So it starts changing things up. And of course, naturally, if I'm pulling this into charts and such, which that's actually pretty. Sorry, that's actually pretty. I thought that was going to come right up. But you could see, like, you saw how at the 17-minute mark, how it just started extending out, and you could see the different variations right down here versus all the other times. So this is where I start looking and doing comparisons.
Now, when you guys are sending that, is that just going back to like one certain laptop?
Yes, I do. I make a Wi-Fi signal that's not on the internet. It's just a Wi-Fi, and it's called. You can sign into it. It's called Huya, and the password's gonna call. Of course, I didn't write that. My husband did. He thought it was hilarious, but so he did. He thought he was so proud of himself for that, right? So we have a company called the New Village Maker, and he makes these for us. So it has a very nice little TV display. I don't have any batteries with it right now, but so that's what they look like. And so yeah, it has a Wi-Fi, and they all report back to that. So as long as that closed Wi-Fi signal's there and the batteries last, they will keep going. You know, sometimes I've even gone to sleep and woke up at 9:10 the next day. I'm like, oh, the minions are still running. We're gonna have 300,000. Oh my god, that sort of thing. But yeah, so there's 13 of them, of course, and eventually I think we're gonna try to sell them in like pods of 3 to 13, depending on how many you wanted to do or whatever. So that's pretty exciting. I like it. I like it. So it has a lot of data. And that's what awesome. We do.
I want to guess, if you guys ever sell those, you need to let me know. And who your data? I don't know, Emily.
I think that's something from a joke that I said a while back.
Wow.
It started out with okay, if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, Emily Menshouse, who actually has a show on after our show
called What the Frick?
What the Frick? So she's been teasing me lately.
Okay.
And there was this joke that we were talking about in this chat. I started, who's this, who's that? And I went on, who's the boss, and who's this, who's your whatever. Then I said, who's your daddy? As in the state of Indiana, who's your daddy?
What's going on here?
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that's what she's going off of right here.
Mm-hmm. Sure, that's it. But go on, tell me more about this.
I want to hear more about the minions, not who's your daddy.
Well, basically, okay, so this is how we started off. A few years ago, I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was some way that we could like watch an entity move across the room? This is where the conversation started. And my husband, Bill Ramsey, who finally agreed to be an official part of the team. I'm so excited, yay for us. But he's really the one who has all of the specific electrical knowledge, and he knows all the, what all the parts are. And, he taught me what a potentiometer was and that sort of thing. And I've picked up on it rather quickly. But so I was daydreaming, and I was like, once again, it's like I hate carrying stuff around. Maybe it's laziness, I don't know, but it drove me to this. And I said, wouldn't it be great? And so once I've been throwing this around in my head for a while, and then once I actually met John and joined the team, and I realized, wow, you know what? These people would appreciate this. Why don't we try to move forward? So Bill and I went back to the drawing table, came up with the minions, and the rest is kind of history from there. I lost my train of thought, but yeah.
How did you come to naming them the minions?
Because they do our bidding.
Ooh.
I know. I've never seen the movie The Minions, and yes, the case is yellow and black, and everybody's like, "Oh, ha, ha!" You're like the movie. I'm like, I've never actually seen it, but no, they're called the Minions because we are the master, and they do our bidding. We send them out to collect our data for us. That's why they're called the Minion.
They work very hard.
It's kind of an electronics like tongue-in-cheek thing.
Actually,
it's an electronics nerd thing.
I've made Robyn. Well, I didn't make her promise me, but
Okay.
I want first dibs on those minions when they do get around to doing the mass.
That's what I'm saying. If they do that, dude, that is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
I don't see why we couldn't make some. I mean, they are phase 1 almost. They're not quite a prototype. They're past that point, but I don't see why we couldn't maybe squeeze out a few to try it. Because it would be great to have other people using them and bringing that data back. For maybe larger reasons. People working together in a larger way.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. That's an interesting idea. I don't, winter's coming. We're about to not be able to go outside for 2 or 3 months now. So, maybe if we aren't busy, which we're going to be quite busy coming up, but if we're not busy, maybe we could make some. I could mail them to you, or if we see each other.
Winter is coming. We got 30 inches of snow last night, but it's not here yet.
Coming.
I'm just saying.
Technically, it's not winter for another couple of more days.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, so she is right.
But no, it is here. I'll say it's here. Can I give you a side note? When I tried to get gas today, right? So they had not plowed where you pull in for the gas, but they had plowed the rest of this convenience store. So it's past my knee to get. So I drive in and my all-wheel drive, and it just kind of sinks down. I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'll try to get out later, whatever. At least I got to get gas. So I try, and I had to pull like 2 feet away from the pump or a little bit more. So I had to walk towards it. Well, I sink down in and I literally fall into the snowbank. And so I'm laying there in front of the gas pump. It's soft landing. It didn't hurt at all because there was so much snow. And I see the other people are like looking. It's like, is she okay? And I'm just like, ha, 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 bring it on, winter. Ha, ha, ha. And I'm just like, I have a mask on. I'm laying there like maniacally laughing in front of the gas pump today. And then I'm like, I'm trying to get up once again. Like, it's hard to get up out of the snow. So I'm like rocking back and forth and I'm just sinking. And I'm like, no one's trying to help, by the way. They're just staring. So I finally get up. I'm like, I'm okay. And yeah, it was kind of fun. So yeah, I laid in front of the gas pump this morning.
Knowing what I know about you, I can absolutely see you doing all of that.
I know. And I was like, I'm gonna go inside and get some breakfast. I'm upset about it. No, I wasn't upset. It was fun.
Had I been there, I'd have been like this.
I know. Well, maybe somebody was. I don't know. Oh my gosh! Yeah, it was a thing.
I'd probably be the bad guy and actually go and help instead of showing all of this to social media.
That's the good guy. I would be the bad guy.
I know, but the way society is now, the roles of
I would have said like, "Don't touch me, bro! Don't touch me, bro! Just grab me by my feet and drag me out into the cloud section." Just like I'd be like, "COVID, just grab my feet, just tow me out."
We got a little bit of snow,
like a half inch.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, well, can't really see it because it's dark out, but the grounds are still covered, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Roads are clear, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, me too. Since I drove here.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
It takes him 35 minutes to get to my house.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
It is.
Oh,
it is because I drove from his house. When was I over there? Monday? Yeah, it was Monday.
It's Monday.
It took me 25 minutes to get to my house.
Okay, so yeah, I don't like driving at night. And now at night comes at like dark 35.
Yes.
30.
No, that's true.
And I'm just
it's
like
4:30 here. It's dark. Yeah.
I forgot John was with us. You've been so quiet, bro.
Who's John?
I have zero idea what they're talking
You can see someone named John. Are you okay? Does he talk to you often?
No, yeah, sometimes. He calls me mean names. He calls me mean names sometimes.
Wow.
Oh, hey.
Wow. Oh, hello. I didn't see you.
John, chicken nugget.
Yeah, there you go.
He is real. He's a real boy now.
Up over here.
Dude, I'd be fine with that, man.
Yeah, but I got a couple chairs over there.
Yeah, we got plenty of chairs.
Okay, just teleport over here, John. We'll give you some nuggets. Well, Scott will give you his nuggets.
On my way.
Dude.
That was absolutely terrible. I snapped and then I was just like,
I know we can still see the top of your head.
Well, you had to do something.
Well, yeah.
I like that. I was expecting something a little bit more than, well, yeah. Like,
Sometimes that's the best response.
I guess.
Expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected.
And expect it when you least expect it.
How does that work again?
I do not know.
Well, we were talking about minions, and then we weren't. Beef jerky. Yay. Dude, that there was a post today that said, "What's something like, what do you like to take on investigations? What's the best snack or something?" And I'm like, I'm a wholehearted beef jerky. It's not too heavy. It's not weird. For at least for me, I swear these people feed me pizza and I ruin all the EVP sessions because my stomach's going wow, wow. I mean, it doesn't even care. My stomach doesn't care what we're trying to do. But I have interrupted so many EVP sessions. I'm like, then stop buying pizza, because I guess I could be an adult and be responsible for my own food. But beef jerky, it's like you're not hungry, but you're not too full. That's my pitch.
That actually happened to us on a case that we went to in Kokomo.
Oh, Davy's house.
Yeah.
Yes. We had pizza.
So we were trying to figure out what we were going to do for dinner, because it was it was that day that we were guest on the Ravens Paranormal podcast
from the Netherlands. Yes.
Yeah, but we had it all planned out, because we were going to do that podcast. Then we were going to do the whole equipment setup. Then take off for dinner, then come back and do our thing.
And it never works out the way we want to. I'm just saying.
Oh, of course not.
No. So we were trying to figure out where we were going to eat. We were thinking maybe a nice little buffet. And Tim had come across this restaurant that said Yogi's Pizza. Well, whenever you get a name like Yogi, you got to go check it out.
Especially when it's a little small mom and pop's pizzeria. You got to go, man.
I feel like our instincts are a little different on that, but go on.
So we went there, and oh my, it is small.
Yeah, it was tiny.
The whole place was like smaller than my dining room.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was only 3 booths. We sat down there, and of course, it's like right up against it. Well, you wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know.
for me and Tim, it was like right up against us. And we ordered the largest pizza that they had. They come out with a pizza that was about the size of this table.
I saw the picture. Was that the picture?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was so big they had to put it on the table behind us.
So then somebody said something about getting a picture. I was like, hey, let's do a size comparison. So I went over to the other side, and you can see my face with this great big pizza in front of me. It's like, this is the size pizza that the 4 of us are going to try to eat.
And we did. All but
because they serve it to you doesn't mean you have to try to eat the whole thing. It's like not a contest or whatever. You're like, damn, I guess we got to eat this whole thing.
Well, I tell you what, the 4 of us were so full that night.
I'm sure. It actually looked pretty good. It did.
It was good.
It was really good pizza.
Yeah.
It really was.
It was good.
So Yogi's Pizza in Kokomo, Indiana. If you see this, thank you so much for the pizza. It was.
Yes. Tell them the 13th Dimension sent you.
Yes.
That's right. Maybe they can mail you one for the mention.
Ooh.
I'm cracking myself up over it.
Can you imagine the package on that one?
Dude, that'd be so expensive.
It would be. Not as expensive. It would have been to send a 30-pound box of chocolates to another ones.
Oh, dude. That's amazing. I'm just
30
saying.
pounds of chocolate.
Okay, so story behind that. Every now and then, my work, they do like a little giveaway for the employees. Something that's getting really close to expiration, so they need to get rid of it. So, let's see. I forget what kind of ice cream it is, but it's those quarts that's got the Incredibles on it, and it's got these chocolate pieces in the shape of the masks. That's what these 30-pound boxes are filled of. those little chocolate masks.
Wow.
Yeah, 30 pounds of it. And they were giving away, I don't know, like 10 pallets altogether. But it's only for employees only, so I took a box home for myself. And then I actually took a box to Tim because he works there, but he's out on FMLA because he has shoulder surgery. So I took a box over there, and that was the night that I was supposed to have been there for 20 minutes and ended up being there for 8 hours.
And that's an amazing chocolate, bro. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you got 2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them. And I made Buckeyes.
So then, let's see, they sent out an email to everybody in the company on Friday. Okay, we still got all of these. Take as many as you want. Okay. This was Saturday. So I'm sending a message to all the people in my team. Hey, do you guys want 30-pound box of chocolates?
I'd be like, absolutely not. Please don't give me 30 pounds of chocolate. Are you trying to kill me? Quarantine,
okay.
my pants are already tight. No thanks. Anyway.
Scotty took 2 boxes. These 2 boxes weigh as much as he does.
And there's taller than I am, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not difficult.
So wrong.
I'm okay. Thanks, John.
I just had a vision of us on an investigation together, and I could be wearing one of those little packs in the front that you put your baby in. We could put like Scott in there, and we could be like, da da duo. We're gonna
Actually,
do
we
this.
should try that with Tim.
I think Tim would drop me.
No, you got to
I
get one of
think
those
Tim would
packs
drop me.
or one of those baby slings.
A baby sling?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
please do that.
so Scott ended up getting 2 boxes of those. I took another box home for my dad. Michael ended up getting 2 boxes. Tony and Megan only took 1. Tony, when I met up with Tony, he was like, "What am I going to do with 30 pounds of chocolate? I'll still take it, but what am I going to do with that?" Now, keep in mind, his wife and they got, I think, 3 kids living with them. Plenty of people to eat up 30 pounds of chocolate.
Yeah.
Michael took 2 boxes. Scott Smith took a box for a buddy of his. And then I ended up giving Tim and Crystal 3 boxes.
Yeah, dude.
But they're gonna make stuff for us.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. So I take care of my team.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It makes me question why John doesn't work at a chocolate factory.
Bad junk food, but I take care of my team.
Yes. What'd you say, Robyn?
Oh, it just made me question John's career. I mean, why isn't he working at a chocolate factory or something great like that? I mean, I've never gotten 30 pounds of chocolate from you, John. I think we found our first problem.
You know what? Here's the deeper problem with that. I love chocolate.
Yes.
And that's all I'm going to say.
So maybe you do work at a chocolate factory. You're just not telling anybody. I see you, man.
Yeah, and you're talking about the baby sling. I prefer it to be on the back, and somebody can be Luke Skywalker, and I'll be Baby Yoda, or I'll just be Yoda. How's that? And I'll be like, "Ooh, lightsaber, you know it is not."
Give me 30 pounds of chocolate, you will.
It sounded just like him.
Thank you. End scene. A theater nerd, man. I'm on it.
13th Dimension, welcome to.
Oh man,
You got to add that to it.
Like the podcast, you will.
Yeah.
See, I mean, you can't go wrong with Star Wars and Yoda. So I'm just.
That's
saying.
right.
No, Star Wars is a freaking legend.
You know what the Yoda do or do not? There is no try. Like that's kind of how I was raised. You don't have 2 broken legs. You better get up and keep marching. Had a Marine for a dad, and then a Leo for a mom. So I'm like, I'm on it.
Even if you got just 1 leg, you can hop.
That's right. You can hop. You can drag yourself by your hands. If you try dragging yourself by your hands, we'll get moving. Yeah. That's me.
Anakin dragged himself with 1 hand after he lost.
He did.
I think we've lost our guess.
No, I was dragging myself with one hand off the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where's everybody?
I don't know. Love
Well, they're
me.
probably like, what are they talking about? What's going on?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a huge.
So, do you guys have any new investigations coming up?
Oh my goodness, yes. We unfortunately can't really talk about them.
Of course you can't.
Yeah.
Lord.
That's why I was like wanting to reveal the new equipment on these investigations I can't talk about, and it's driving me insane.
We have one next month. We have one in February. We can't disclose the locations. It's a part of a project, but we aren't. It's not just Uini Research is not in charge of those two projects. I'll say at least that. So We'll wait for the specific people to reveal those projects, but know that it's coming. And there's definitely different things that we're looking to do. We're already gearing up for 2021. It's going to be a very big year. Of course, Jeremy and Scott, and we've been talking in the background about projects that we're going to work on together. So I think people are going to start.
Jeremy or your Jeremy?
York.
Well, I've learned to say my brother Jeremy. I'm getting good at that.
Okay.
I just started calling you York. You know what York's talking about? York. Anyway.
Well, see, the thing is, I had to stop him last week because he kept saying Jeremy, Jeremy, Jeremy. And then when he said I had to go wake him up, I said, okay, so for those of you who don't know, he's talking about his brother.
Well, at least he didn't call him Scott Smith.
We are going to actually paranormal. We are having our 10-year anniversary celebration in August too. So we have some big things that we're planning for that. I do need to make mention. I know I brought it up at the last show, but there's going to be a change in date for the Paranormal Puzzle Chapter 2 for Secrets of Wilson Castle. It's actually going to be launching on Monday, December 28th.
Okay.
So a little extra time, get some, make it the best that it can be. But it is still on its way out. But
I actually got a compliment from a French filmmaker today on our first episode. I was like, well, thank you very much. Out of the blue. Merci beaucoup.
Precisely. That's exactly how it went.
Mm-hmm. I was like, thank you. And now I just kept waiting for him to say, and have you heard about the lottery on Facebook? You're going to win. And I was like, just waiting for that. But he never did. I was like, wow, this guy went. And so I looked at his profile. I was like, oh, he's legit. That's sweet.
That is pretty cool when that happens.
Yeah, when you actually get it, unlike me, who gets a friend request and the first thing I get is hello, gorgeous. And I'm like, yep, you're definitely. It's like,
yeah, today I got a hello, sweetie. I'm like, you definitely don't know me.
I was like, I'm waiting for a car warranty message next. I haven't gotten those yet.
Yeah, I get those weird ones too, like, hey, tall, dark, and handsome. I'm like, who the heck you talking to?
I love it. But now we're going to be super busy. We've got a bunch of stuff lined up. And this was supposed to, actually, the beginning of the year was going to be our off time. And it just filled up so quick. This is the momentum that we started in 2020, which almost makes me feel weird in a way. It's like there's all this crisis going on. All these bad things are happening in 2020. And yet we just kept, each project is getting bigger. It's getting better. It's on not just a grander scale, but it's just improved. And the people that we're working with, it's fantastic. And the ideas are flowing. And it's just like, man, everything just keeps getting better. And we're exhausted, right? So we're like, okay, we're taking off the beginning of 2021. Nope, not a chance. And here come even bigger, better projects, great ideas that you have to act on. I wouldn't pass up some of these ideas for anything, because that's what we want to do. It's like we want to help further the field. We want it to be a more normalized thing, and we can't turn down these projects, period. So I can only imagine it's going to keep getting busier and busier. And then some of the people that were a little, I would call it wishy-washy, or couldn't, hammer down dates for things that they wanted to do. Well, guess what? We're booked. Too bad. You know what I mean? It's like you should have just said yes when you had the chance. That's how I feel. I'm not to be mean or sound awful or anything, but at the same time, it's like, you had your moment. It's past.
Right.
Yeah. And,
does that mean?
And we've been making, the team has just been making such progress. And I don't even mean just the project wise. Yes, we've been increasing in intensity, increasing in different projects and such, but even the research elements of it, the things that we haven't revealed to the public yet, that at some points are going to be coming out. And heck, Jeremy, you even have a little bit of internal knowledge of some of the things I'm talking about, but there's been progress made within the research itself. That's from the time that we started doing the paranormal research, like even the beginning stages of UNI research, it really, as we saw, and like I said in the last show, we follow the numbers. Those numbers kept on taking us in so many directions to the point that we had to continue. I had to break my comfort zone. I had to leave that comfort zone and realize I have to change things. We have to try all different methods. We're going to have to change our policies and procedures. It's just, just with everything over the years, and I'm not even just saying UNI research, but just with the team prior to UNI research that I ran, that essentially morphed into UNI research. I think people are going to start seeing even more so some significant changes. But right now, until people actually see it and we have the explanation behind it, then people will catch on to it. It's something that we have to demonstrate as opposed to just talk about it. Mm-hmm. We're definitely working with the right people, not even just UNI research, but with you guys, with several other teams on different other projects that we're all coming together on, and we're starting to find there's going to be some big things. That's all I can say for everybody.
I completely enjoy the fact that we are working with so many people and just bring it in. I never understood that exclusionary thing. It's like, well, you're on this team, you keep within the team, we're just working with us, and how dare you go work with somebody else? And you know what? And we made the decision, a while back. It's like, if you get a chance to go work with somebody, do it, learn everything you can, and you bring it back to the team. And we're all fine with that. There's a lot of teams, I think, that really frown on that. You can't, it's like, what are we, a mob family? We're all grown adults. None of us are being paid extraordinary amounts of money or any money in 99.9% of the cases to do this sort of thing. It's like, you go do what's not only best for you, because that's what you'd want of someone who you absolutely adore and you work with. It's like, I want you to be the best and go everything that you can possibly do, go grab it. Don't forget to come back and share that information with us.
Yeah.
It's all about networking in that. When John and I just briefly talked a little bit about what his team does, I'm like, you guys need to be in my network.
Yeah, that's why I was so impressed. I was like, yeah, look, he's gathering up all the teams. Look, who is this Jeremy York? Of course, that's a while back, and now I full well know who you are.
Now it's like, Jeremy again?
Right.
I love it.
What you guys do is, I've said it numerous times, but it's amazing. The research that you do and everything that you're doing for this field is just absolutely amazing.
And to the extent that they do.
Exactly. By the way, Robyn, I have to say, I heard your door open and I seen you give that look. Like, you just opened my door and come in here and I'm on doing this. I noticed that, I get that look a lot. So that was pretty interesting. I'm just saying, dude.
I'm like, get out. I'm talking to Jeremy and Scott. Get out of here.
My wife gives me that look a lot. My kids give me that look. What are you doing?
No, I'm actually fine with it. Just checking in, and Trying to keep the logs on the fire. It's fine.
Right. It's one thing for teams to want to get together and go do investigations together and do that. I'm fine doing that. I enjoy doing that.
Absolutely.
But what we are doing is so much deeper than that.
What are we doing? I'm just kidding. I know.
What we are doing is so much deeper than that because we are really digging in to trying to understand the paranormal world.
Yeah, and with doing the experiments, I know you and John have talked about different experiments, and dude, I'm all about that. I really am. John, have you ever heard of the Gansfeld experiment?
Gansfeld experiment.
It's where they take ping pong balls, you cut them in half, put them over your eyes, and you blindfold yourself, and you got a red light that shines on you.
Sensory deprivation on
Yes.
stuff like that. Yeah, but it also affects the neurons in your brain. It helps you reach a different state, brainwave state. Like a hypnotic state in a way. Brings you out.
And I actually did that 8 years ago with Bart Barry and Chris Daniels, and back then I wasn't. I can't even say I'm not knowledgeable now, but I was less knowledgeable just starting out in the paranormal field. I don't want to say 8 years then. It's probably been about 13 years. And I think that would be something just to try again to see to understand it a little bit more, I guess.
Is that the experiment you were telling me about that involved the strobe light?
Well, at one time somebody had said something strobe, but it's more like a red light. But it don't have to be a strobe because I don't want to send nobody into epileptic seizure.
Yeah,
correct.
I can really,
So.
Well, we just did we've actually done a couple of experiments, and some of them, one of them you'll see during the Secrets of Wilson Castle one, involving sensory deprivation. It was actually with a bunch of people, but it was Mike Hatcher and Robyn, who both played a part in the sensory deprivation portion of it, and the results were. I really want to talk about it, and I can't.
No,
something happened to me, and I won't say what it was, but something happened to me during that I wouldn't typically say happens to me. Something I don't claim to be intuitive or anything like that. Something really strange happened during that. So that experiment, which you'll see eventually in one of the episodes or whatever, it kind of changed me a little bit, I have to say. And I'm up for the sensory deprivation. When actually we went to the house at the top of the hill or whatever it's actually called, but Conjuring House.
Oh yeah.
We did a little bit of stuff there too. We did some similar. We tried to repeat the experiment, and that turned out really strange and well. Like, what's happening? Yeah. So, not to reveal too much.
Yeah. Scott's pouring his drink into the 13th dimension mug.
Excellent.
And, I mean, in some of the other larger scale research, just to give a general idea of where it's going beyond, just on this just like a location by location type thing, or just like a ghost or something like that. We're zeroing in on understanding the effects that it has on the general public in a mass setting. So we're talking worldwide. And I know I know Robyn, you sent me a link about
the Global Consciousness Project. I believe that's what it's called. Mm-hmm.
So there's been points in the Paranormal Puzzle page where I've posted advisories or stuff like that, advisories, predictions of saying this is what we're expecting during this time period. Because once again, a trend ended up being established. But now I'm starting to understand, it's what I call the paranormal chess. I started to question how not even just us making decisions, but what other things might influence us. Now, if we think about it, there's all these claims that ghosts can, insert themselves into your dreams. You have an invisible invisible person who can move objects. Possession supposedly can happen. I mean, there's all these real, all-out supernatural things that are just like, whoa, if they can do this, what else can they do? So it started to make me wonder a little bit. And it was actually another team member who posed a question that it kind of drove it home, because it was focused on like the room, the environment, and an entity that was, let's say they're sad, and then somebody goes in there and they become sad. So it's like if even like for the living, let's just talk the living for a second. If I were to walk into, have you ever experienced where there's a bunch of people in a room and everybody's in a pretty good mood, right? And one person walks in and they disrupt the entire mood. They don't say anything. They're just like grumpy. And then all of a sudden, everybody else's mood just starts changing. Like, don't you find that odd?
I'm usually that person. Yeah.
There's pheromones, there's hormones, there's a lot of things. Like for living, we're talking about just the living that can affect how other people feel and their bodies respond to that. And so also we all give off electrical impulses. We have a pretty big electrical field around our bodies. And so I can see that, John. So between that, the electrical and the pheromones and hormones that you're giving off, you can affect an entire room. And then opposite of that, it's the same thing when you walk in, two people have been fighting, and you just walk into the room like, hey, I'm going to work. And you open the door and you're like, oh, snap, I'm going to turn around and walk back out. They don't have to say a word, but you just feel it in the room. So are they letting off those electrical impulses? For the living, the pheromones, hormones. But once you've passed on those electrical impulses, and our brains are highly susceptible to electrical interference. They really are. So I can see that. I don't know if that's where you were going, John, but I'm just actually talking as I'm thinking and not before.
Well, it's a different explanation, I think, for probably something similar that I'm going for. Mm-hmm. Basically, looking at it on the some of the paranormal terms that are out there, the whole aura. So right. I started questioning, what is the aura? Because it's typically said that it's the energy of the person. You can see the mood and all that type of stuff. It may be questioned, though, whether that's really what an aura is.
Right.
Could it be that the spirit is not necessarily in the body, but rather it extends around the body and within, and basically almost acts as an antenna? So when somebody like what Robyn says, giving off those specific pulses or something like that, it reaches that antenna, and now that can ultimately start changing the person. The person's essentially receiving a message. Is this how a ghost might communicate through dreams, how they're inputting stuff? So it's getting to the point where we're focusing on the nature of consciousness, like not just from the living, but how consciousness works after death, after death. So, and some of the trends that I started seeing in the hauntings, especially the demonic ones, myself, who went through a demonic haunting in my childhood, I started seeing different trends throughout these different hauntings, and started pinpointing how certain entities would perform specific activity, or what type of activity they would do, to start breaking down, like demonic entities typically supposedly break down the person. Well, how do they break them down? Because a lot of it appears to be emotional. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I interrupted. What?
Oh no, I just mumbled toxic relationships. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. But basically, what it ended up resulting is the team ended up putting out some specific information that ended up being accurate. There was a point where I think it was like might have been a couple months before, we said that there was going to be an increase in demonic activity, possessions, and such. There was an article put out I believe it was a couple months later, actually multiple articles, that said that the Catholic Church was looking to hire more priests because there was an increase in requests for exorcisms. It's like, okay, things are starting to line up here, and it just kept on increasing. So basically, essentially, what this is going for is we're looking at this not just even just at a building level or a property. We're looking at this as a global scale. So that's where we're basically at. And all these different locations that we go to, all this different data that we're collecting, it's going to one grand master thing that we're essentially looking at.
Just about imagine the kind of data you guys would get out of Waverly Hills.
I'm looking forward to going there along Robyn.
Oh yeah, that place. Sure, we'll go. No, I'm excited. I'm extremely excited. I actually have never been. No.
Me neither. And you guys are right, Robyn. You was talking about energy and stuff, and I feel that. Like, you walk in a room, and if you're in a bad mood, that energy that you give off that you're in a bad mood can literally affect everybody around you. And I mean, you see it almost every day. I mean, if I was to come home from work and I'm in a bad mood, that energy puts everybody else in that house in a bad mood. It really does.
Well, and kind of related, but not really. It's a way for me to work in the fact that I also have a book. But no, one of the chapters is the book is Astral Projection, non-religious guide for the beginner. You can find it on Amazon. But basically, one of the chapters is it's called I Poltergeist. And basically, it's like when you project yourself and you're going and doing these things out in the universe. Try not to affect people in a negative and bad way. If you're going to visit someone or you're going to do things, don't mess with their psyche. Don't destroy their mental health because you want to visit someone. Don't come uninvited, that sort of thing, because we are susceptible to these interferences at times. And even if you meant well, they might not perceive what's happening to them, and it can be very disturbing, upsetting, and they could feel like there was an attempt at a jump, or they can feel like attempt at possession and completely not understand that. And not everybody's in the mental health position to accept that sort of thing. So it's be a good guest. And the reason I included that chapter, I co-wrote it with Melissa Burke. But the reason we included that chapter is because this is a while back. The leader of the group she used to be in talked about how she hated somebody, and she was trying to astral project and go to their house and slam doors and slam cabinets and knock stuff over. And we're like, first of all, you're a terrible person. Okay, first of all. So go look in the mirror and tell yourself you're a terrible person. But then we thought, we need to actually mention this and say something about this, because you can affect, just in a general sense, people's moods, living people. And then, if you really get good at some of these things, you can do some damage, and that's not cool. So then you get an entity or a soul that's passed from living to the dead. And, everybody likes to say, well, if they were mean in life, they're probably more than likely not a great person after they die either. And they can come back and just affect you, and it's just really, really not okay. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just, like I said, we're reaching deeper into a lot of things, and even then, another thing that this hits on, I don't remember if this was something that we I think it's something we might have discussed, Robyn. I'm not sure, but we were hitting into another category. This is from a Uini Research perspective. Like I said, we research everything. If it comes into the picture, if it appears like it's going to put the picture together, we're looking right at it.
Absolutely.
The reincarnation, for instance, I know it's a topic that people, there's a heavy debate about. But of course, for us, it's if we come across any evidence that there may be a possibility behind it, we're looking at the why and how. You know, why is this happening? How is this possible? Or how is this happening?
So go ahead.
No, go.
We were here in the research room, actually, where I'm sitting now, and we were doing for some reason, out of the blue, I just handed John dowsing rods, and the questions just went into this weird place, like almost immediately, and the dowsing rods were highly responsive. But anyway, the line of questioning was about, it ended up being about reincarnation, or part of it was about reincarnation, and how do you get reincarnated? Is it choice? Is it not? Or how do you get everlasting life? And basically it said, just keep choosing to live, keep choosing to be reborn. That's how that happens. Just keep choosing, and you can choose not to. You can choose to do other things, but if you want, you can just keep choosing to come back. And I thought that was just astounding. And we didn't even understand why we were getting that. And Katie was just sitting there just with her, that was one of her first like super weird interactions with us, I think. And she had no idea, well, like, what are these people? What's happening? But she said she's I think she was even taking notes or something. She turned on her recorder at one point because she was like, we have to be getting EVPs at this point. It was so intense. But yeah, so that reincarnation thing came up that day for no particular reason. And so that also to me means that it meant something, because we weren't on that track at all. And so some entity was listening to our this is what I feel anyway, that some entity was listening to our conversation and was like, I got something for you guys. You know, so hard to get answers, like true afterlife answers. Have you guys ever noticed that through EVPs and all that sort of thing? So we were all about it. So I had forgotten about that until you mentioned reincarnation, John. I just had to put that in there.
See, I did that on purpose because I knew you'd do that. No. Yeah,
now, well.
We had
he's in trouble now.
No, not at all. No, I just pretend my mom. When you're in trouble with my mom, then the finger goes upside down. Forget it.
Oh,
but you, and then, now there's just so much going through my head. I'm thinking of, just the consistencies between, say, like all the different religions and rebirth and like all of the stuff. The consistencies are too great across all of these different areas of life. I think you just can't dismiss it offhand. I don't think it's something to consider.
Well, and personally, I've approached this with like now that I go back to these because let me tell you something. As a child, going through a haunting, going to a Christian school, it doesn't match up. Like there's a lot of contradicting information that I'm receiving, which then at some point, again, this is how I may mention last time about the whole neutral perspective, rather than going where I either believe something or I'm skeptical of it. That's where once I started seeing all these different contradictions, it was to the point that there was so much confusion and I didn't know what to believe anymore. I had very strong beliefs in very specific areas. And then, of course, I was a very stubborn child. I'm sure Robyn could probably still see the stubbornness now. But back then, it was, I'm always right because I'm right. And if you show me facts, I'm still right because, well, I'm John Griffin and I'm right. That's how it was. My parents absolutely adored me for this. So, and that's what, there was one point where there was actually a paranormal related experience that happened when I was doing research, because once again, on my teams prior to this, again, I always felt that I was right. And this was the weirdest part. When I thought, you know, I always wanted to say that I was right. But then what ended up happening ultimately was, oh, sorry.
Hi, boss. Hi, honey. Love you.
I love you. I love you too. I think I love you. What am I so afraid of?
Yeah.
You're talking to me, right? You're talking to me. Oh, this is awkward. Oh, snap. I'm sorry.
Scott's wife had just come into the chat room.
Yeah, my wife just came
Yeah,
in.
I know. I'm just messing around. That's funny.
So.
I saw Scott's look and I was like, what is going on here?
And normally, like, if she comes in, she might watch, but she never asks a question.
Mm-hmm.
But
Do you have a question?
she does.
It's actually a two-part question.
It is.
So
I don't know if can you post it
What
up?
time is this podcast over? And did you eat all the nuggets? Right? Is that the question?
no,
Oh, okay.
actually, you should be able to see it on the screen right now.
Well, to the first question, I think it's the mind. Our minds are changing about people who commit suicide. I think it's more like they passed from suicide because we know it's a mental health issue. So commit makes it sound like a murder, and really it's a mental health issue. Let's see, they become ghosts since they have unfinished business. I think everybody becomes a ghost. Energy doesn't cease to exist. It's the same with someone who might pass away from suicide as somebody who was murdered. This is one of the reasons why I actually formed a group. Okay, so I've had paranormal stuff happening to me since I was 3 years old. But one of the reasons that I formed a group is that in 1997, my oldest brother was murdered. I don't know why suddenly it affects me. Like I can't say it, but he was murdered. And gosh darn it, wouldn't you know, there's such lovely people out there that said, well, oh boy, he's going to be stuck there. Like, thanks for saying that to me. You're a great person. So it started milling it over in my mind. I was like, well, here's the analytical part. I'm going to just go find out for myself. I'm just going to take this lovely person who decided to already I'm like off the chart because my brother was murdered. And then they're like, and now his soul is stuck. Have a nice day. And then they walk off. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I'm going to find out for myself. So I took my childhood friend, Darla, by the hand. And I said, which we had been doing like EVP sessions, not knowing, like basically growing up together. And we were getting weird sounds and words. And I don't know why it didn't register, or maybe it did, that it was ghosts. But anyway, so I decided that I was going to go ahead and try to figure that out for myself. And no, I don't think they're stuck, and I don't think they're more likely to become ghosts. I think my personal opinion is that you have a choice sometimes to go ahead and go, and maybe because they have unfinished business. I just think it's a choice. And if they were already in such trauma and their mental health was in that situation, if they did die of suicide, then they could still be very confused and might end up that way and not make good choices in the afterlife, just like they weren't making very good choices due to their mental health while they were alive. So they could end up being interactive in the afterlife, but not necessarily stuck as a ghost. Does that make sense?
I think to kind of piggyback off that, I mean, like Robyn said, yeah, it heads to. I mean, obviously, energy doesn't die, or energy doesn't go away. So the consciousness goes somewhere. Now, whether it's actually remaining around, or because if we're looking at different ancient texts and such, there's obviously the heaven and hell and purgatory and all these different things. Which obviously they fall into a belief system. It's something that has to be researched further. With the consciousness, though, I agree with Robyn on this. Is that it's more of a decision thing. We've seen that entities have followed people to different places. So I don't necessarily feel, based off of evidence, that that ghosts just remain bound to a room.
Agreed.
It's consciousness, and the research that we're trying to do right now, consciousness-wise, is try to understand the different levels of consciousness, if there are different levels of consciousness,
and split consciousness.
Yes, There's like my brother's working on, speaking like with what Robyn just said, cloud consciousness, which isn't residual, but it's not necessarily fully intelligent that it can learn something. There may be the intelligent form of the entity it's the entity that can still learn. And then even from the reincarnation point, I'm interested that after you come out of the body and you don't have the restrictions of the body anymore, do you gain all that memory back of the past?
Well, and you know how that people say, oh, they didn't die here, but they came back here because this is one of their favorite places. Well, that could just be a part of their consciousness, because we know that atoms can exist in two different places at once, right? So why, and if energy doesn't cease to exist, why can't I be sitting right here with you right now? Say I, God forbid, passed away in this house, but also went back to one of my favorite childhood places. There's a part of me there. Like you could actually talk to me there. And you could actually say, if I was giving you EVPs, you talk to me there, you could talk to me here. And there's just a part of me in each one of those places. But then again, like, so there's the cloud consciousness where pieces of you are here and there. And I could talk to you about, say, my favorite childhood place. I could talk to you there about that childhood place and my experiences there, and wouldn't necessarily be able to discuss what was going on when I was, older in this house that I'm sitting in now, and vice versa. But it's still me. It's still part of me, and those things are there. And I'm bilocated because atoms can do that. And if energy is matter, and it is matter, then why not?
And with the consciousness, I mean, the possibility of different levels. I mean, here's the thing, yes, I have my belief that a ghost can't be stuck and bound in a specific room. For all I know, the research and stuff that comes out could say, John, you're an idiot. That's not true. And then, of course, from the research standpoint,
say, okay, it's not true. Yeah, but it seems like things are pointing to that. And looking over here, actually, because I have written on my whiteboard quantum consciousness, because we've all been researching it highly and doing experiments. But one important fact is that all matter has like a wave and particle duality. So I could just be a wave here today giving you EVP, and I could be a particle at I keep saying, my childhood favorite place, and you could catch me as an apparition on film. I could be presenting in two different ways, and whether that part is a choice or not, I don't know. But I stuck is a strange.
Yeah, and I agree. And you guys are talking about reincarnation and whatnot, and that is such a good topic, and for me, I guess a misunderstood topic. Like I want to believe in it, but at the same time, I don't. Like, it's like, you ever get those dreams that you've done something else in a past
Absolutely.
life, like, and it makes you wonder, because and I've heard in the field that people say, well, everybody has a birthmark, and that birthmark is supposed to be where you died in your past life. And I always found that weird, because I actually have one on the side of my left rib cage. So, when you think about stuff like that, you think, okay, so if I am, been through reincarnation, and I got this birthmark scar right there, and I have these dreams, I mean, it makes you wonder, is there such a thing? I think it's one of the most intriguing topics there is out there.
I have something for you then. I have something for you. I wrote down a long time ago. I had a radio show called Paraphernalia, and I won't mention the radio station that it was on. But one of my shows I did, this was one of the shows that I was a solo host, and I'm trying to look at the name. I pulled it up. Anyway, one of my shows was exactly about a very similar thing, where that people were so traumatized by the way they had died in a previous life that it affected them so greatly in this life. And I'm going to give you an extreme example right now. That there was a man who his entire life could not stand his legs from the knee down, from below his knees down. This is a true story. It bothered him. He was in and out of mental facilities. Everybody thought he was crazy, and he just couldn't stand them. So one day he took a skill saw, and he propped his leg one at a time over a 5-gallon bucket, and he took that skill saw and he cut off his legs. And he said at the moment that second leg fell off, he had never been so relieved, and he felt like he was finally whole. And he said, I knew it because every other life I've ever had, this is what he said, I didn't have these damn legs, and I don't know why I got them in this life. And I know it sounds like a mental health issue. The show is really long and explains several different scenarios, but he never had another episode issue after he got rid of his legs. He never had to go back into a mental health facility. He never had to do anything like that. He just felt whole again. And that being said, I must have been run over by like horse and carriage or something, because I'm like, bam, you know what I mean?
That's crazy, man.
But yeah, look it up. It's on Podomatic. It's called Paraphernalia.
No, I absolutely believe you.
Yep. Please go back and search. All those shows are on there. There's a lot of, I would say, yeah, it was my show. I'm like, hey, they're all great. Go listen to them.
Wow, I've never heard that story before. I don't even know what to think of it.
Yeah, well, I thought it was fascinating, which is why I made it a point to do an entire show just on that sort of thing. And not everybody was self-harming like that, but there's a lot of very interesting stories about.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely.
Can't put this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she also wants to know this, if you can see it.
Oh, the bound to the location.
Yes, sir.
That's actually kind of rewording. That's kind of what I meant by bound. I don't. From evidence that we've seen, and a perfect example of this is the Hinsdale House in Wildwood Sanitarium. There's actually evidence between multiple teams, including our own, that shows that an entity that had nothing to do with Wildwood Sanitarium is actually traveling between sites. So, and I don't think necessarily that the death would have anything to do with that. Since it is still consciousness, and if they do have intelligence to them still, then I believe it's just like you and I deciding to go to the grocery store or something like that. I mean, it would be a large scale and very difficult experiment to do.
If you think about it, there are people that are connected to both of those sites. And so more than likely, an entity can listen in. I mean, they're hearing us, they're responding to our questions for EVPs, and they're like, okay, well, I love this place, but all these people keep talking about Wildwood, let's say. And we know that Dan travels back and forth between Wildwood, the owner of Hinsdale, travels back and forth between those two locations. What if he was just like, I'm bored. I'll go to the store with you, Dad. Let's go to Wildwood, and let me go see what's going on there. I just don't see why that is. Yeah. I think it's a choice. It can be.
When I was at Wildwood, it actually has a piece of the hanging tree from Hinsdale House.
It does, and then I'll do you one better. And the short version of the story is items from Hinsdale accidentally or ended up at Wildwood for a little while. So things that were found in the dirt, things that were found in the basement of Hinsdale were stored at Wildwood for a little while until Dan retrieved them and brought them back. So whether, I don't know if you want to talk about object attachment or just some sort of string that was some sort of, I don't know, it sounds far-fetched, some sort of like psychic string that was like, oh, there's the road, there's the highway, that's where I need, that's a way for me to get there. It's very interesting. It's a great concept.
There's another concept, and this is something that, John, we were talking about before, actually at Wildwood, in a sense. I was talking to, let's see, it was me, Emily Menhouse. Who else were we talking to? Jason and Rhonda from Night Terror Collection. I think it was those two. But we were all talking about that one spirit could haunt multiple locations. And if we could find places that was proven to have the same entity, what if we did some sort of an experiment where one team is at this location, one team is at other location, another team's at this location, and the first team does his EVP session, gets all the answers and everything, and says, okay, now go to that location, wait a few minutes, and signal them to start doing their thing and see if they come up with the same responses, and this, that, and the other. I see you smirking there, John, so you got something.
Yep.
It might be something going on. We'll just say that's something that might be coming up.
Ooh, I see. I like that.
Yep.
It's a great thought process that you just
Yes.
had. It's a fantastic process.
Absolutely.
I didn't see Nick.
But
He just came
Nick.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, he just came on.
well,
But that actually goes back into some of that cloud consciousness and split, being able to bilocate or even triloc, whatever, that wherever you need to go. And then, it's a rabbit hole, because then you can start talking about not just objects, but attachments to people or ley lines or what I like to do on locations. Man, I will look to see where the aquifers are. I want to know if there used to be a stream near 200 years ago. I want to know all of those ways that you could possibly travel. I want to know if whatever I can find about those sort of things. Was there a road here? And then, it was just a trail that people used to use on horseback. And then now you bought the land and built a house over it. What?
Right.
In conclusion, what?
And ultimately, like with all these things, it's like what we were talking about before when we were all at Wildwood talking, how this is a big part of why we're trying to figure out the composition of an entity. You understand that, you understand the elements, you begin to understand how all of this stuff is either possible or not possible or somewhere in between. So that's why we've been pounding on that for quite a bit.
Yeah, it's extremely tough, difficult, deep. I mean, because there's so many. I mean, we know that like at the CERN at the Hadron Collider, that they actually did figure out that there are multiverse and that they were able to detect other dimensions. It's like, okay, is this interdimensional? Is it just magnetic energy from the planet? It's very deep, but we know there's some kind of matter because we're interacting with it. It's touching us, and we're trying to touch it. It's affecting our equipment, and that is matter that has to do that. So
just about imagine if we could actually open up a doorway into another dimension.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I think there was a movie about that.
Yeah,
Kids all had little animals.
In the mist. Yeah,
but no, it's a lot. But just think if we could, and then the universe is 2/3 dark matter, and we don't know what dark matter is, and they could all be dark matter, and it's extremely deep and stuff. But there's no reason, just because there's so much unknown doesn't mean you have to stop trying to figure it out. And that this is another reason why you get as many people as you can involved, and the people that are experts in the field. I have now John's brother Jeremy is our physics expert, and then I know some other, like, a couple of people that do physics there, and they're on my Facebook page, and they're like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around what you're talking about and what you're saying. For instance, when we were at Wilson Castle, this is not included in the series, so I'm just going to say it. We were all sleeping. It was like really early in the morning. I couldn't sleep very well. Come to find out later, Katie couldn't sleep very well. We're in sleeping bags, separated from each other. Sometimes we spoon, but this night we weren't for some reason. But anyway, that's a joke, but we don't spoon. But anyway, so I'm laying there on my side, and they're all behind me. I'm facing the wall, and my butt cheek, you guys, actually depressed in the size of maybe the ball of a foot or a fist. It didn't hurt. I felt the meat on my butt sink in. So I turned around real quick because I thought it was Katie or John, somebody messing with me. And they're like, exhausted because of what we had been doing all night. Now I've been touched like this, and I felt chills, and my hair stood up, but I've had a lot of this brushing, but I have never felt the
this is different.
Okay, the actual meat move. And so this physics expert, I'm saying not a physicist, but a physics expert, he's like, he actually came over to the house, and he says, I read something on your page. I need to talk to you about it, because I'm having a really hard time wrapping my head around how nothing was, you couldn't see what was there, but your body actually moved. And it's like, well, but we also get pushed down sometimes, right? We get, pushed back, we get drained, that sort of thing. But so now I have this random person who I won't name, who's out there, and his brain's just like click, 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 trying to put it together. And I think that's fantastic because we have our own experts, but then just, you never know where your answers are going to come from, right? So, yeah. So I say, get it out there, listen to everybody. Some people are going to think you're crazy. That's fine. We probably are, because we're doing some weird stuff, talking to, we're trying to go beyond that veil of, oh no, we don't talk about that. Right. So, once again, bring as many people into a situation as you possibly can.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we are running out of time for this show.
Oh.
Yeah, we got one coming on after us. So.
Yep.
But we're still going to chat to you afterwards. So.
Yes, we are.
Yay.
So,
well, thank you for having me.
What's that?
Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Short notice coming on to this
show.
Thank
you so much.
Yeah, no problem. We love you guys.
It's 4 hours already just talking, at least with John.
Right.
And 2 hours with Robyn. And there's still so much that they have to teach us.
I know. It's part 3. Part 3 is coming up.
There's going to be 3 of us this time.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm good with that.
That's how we do.
Show.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Live on location.
All right. Well, so anyway, again, thank you guys so much for coming on to the show.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yeah, wonderful having you guys on here. So next week, our show is actually going to be pre-recorded.
Yep. And it's going to be pre-recorded. But before we go, I have to say congratulations to Michaela Kohler for graduating high school early.
Today. Today was her last day in school.
I want to say happy belated birthday to Holly DiMaggio.
Holly, that's Mateo's mom, right?
Yes.
So, so meanwhile, next week, it's just going to be the 4 of us.
It is.
And we're going to be talking Christmas.
Christmas, dude.
Yeah.
Bah humbug.
Pretty much. We're going to be talking about the Christmas legends, the myths, the lores.
Yep.
Krampus.
Yep.
Krampus.
The Nichols.
We'll be talking about the Yule cat.
Yep.
And a couple of other things that I can't pronounce. So.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
I'm not
so
kidding.
much.
I can't pronounce some of these things. So we're going to be doing the pre-recording, and we're going to actually air it at the same time as our regular show.
Yep.
So anyway, our time is up.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Emily Minthouse is coming up next on What the Frick. And until then, it's Paranormal or Beyond.
Man, we got it covered.
Yes, we do.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Night.